Get him out of here!
People haven't prepared for the grim reality. Something's going on with the earth. And in a flash, you're going to have an economic collapse, anarchy, martial law, or a coup. But it won't stop there. That's just the beginning.
Go ahead.
I would give it a courtesy ride. One adult male with 775 High Street.
Theprepared.com is just a list of free guides and reviews. So I want to get my family better prepared for emergencies. Where do I start? What do I do? I believe strongly that there are problems, and I believe people are unprepared for them. We've got this capitalist structure that has served us well, right? It has been a good system, but we are starting to see where it's failing, and we're starting to see where it is not sustainable. And people have figured out how to optimize it and squeeze money out of it, and that's why we're seeing this wealth gap just accelerate. Combined with what's happening in society and technology, things like automation. Some of the stuff that I've worked at the federal government level is the studies on what is going to happen to middle-class jobs with the rise of AI and automation. Truck driver is the #1 most commonly held job in this country, and the estimates are that 50,000 truck drivers a month are going to start losing their jobs soon and not get a replacement job.
You know, this didn't start yesterday. It didn't start when Donald Trump was elected or when North Korea started threatening the world. It started when I was about 25 years old. It was like a message from God. I could hear the words, I could feel it, I could see it, and it was consuming. It was not unambiguous, it was absolute. And what the message was is that I needed to build shelters for 7,000 people, which is 1 out of every 1,000,000 people on the planet. Then, 3 weeks later, you'll be having fresh shelters. Here's an amenity schedule if you want to take a look at it later. You'll get it in an email. But what it is how we're going to roll out the things you've heard about. A restaurant.
In 2008, the economy went kind of bad with the Wall Street, and I'm self-employed. The printing business is just a very small company, but that company paid for my wife and my lifestyle. It paid our house, it paid everything. It's my only income, and when that went down because of the economy, we lost everything. The world is a changing place, and depending on how bad a catastrophe could be, let's just put it this way. Me personally, I'm not looking to the government to save me. I'm looking out for myself.
If you're really, really concerned and you really, really want a solution, you can make it happen. You can make it, you can afford it. The problem is that 99% of the population, they live under what's called the normalcy bias.
In the 80s, there were fires everywhere. I remember any time you looked out of the window, there was a plume of smoke somewhere in the city at night. So I get a bag ready with my toys in it. They were Transformers at the time. And that was it. That was like my first bug out bag. It's always good to have an axe, just because work gloves, they don't have to be this thick, but these are pretty decent in the wintertime, especially when you're using the axe. Here's the go-to knife. You could do a lot with this little knife. Ferro rod. When you start a fire, you take the back of the knife, we as a people are not ready. Someone had once told me it's like 30% in the United States is prepared. That's a lie. Wherever they got that information from, it's a bold-faced lie, because some people think being prepared is having a flashlight, 3 cans of beans, and some duct tape. That's not being prepared. All right, so crab apples. Rubbing raw crab apples heals wounds, tightens the skin, and it slows bleeding down. So if you have a tear in the skin and you got a nasty vascular and capillary bleed, we go out in the woods or we have a meeting, we talk about skills at hand, right? If canned foods are gone, you better know how to fish, you know? If the water supply is contaminated, you better know how to filter water and purify it.
What they teach is important to everybody. You know, how do you survive in the woods? I mean, I suppose 200 years ago it wasn't a necessity, it was your lifestyle because that's where you lived. But we lose those skills. This isn't a bunch of neurotic mental cases, this is a bunch of people who got their heads on straight. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize they need to prepare.
Modern prepping, at least the word prepping and preppers, really kind of entered the lexicon about 10 years ago with the recession, the financial crash, and the election of President Obama. And in the 10 years since, prepping has gone from that kind of extreme subculture to much more of this mainstream. Now, there are people that have gotten into prepping recently because of the pendulum swinging in the other direction. And now they're worried about Trump or the Republicans in power or some of those kinds of surface level politics. Most Americans barely have a day's worth of non-perishable food in their home. There are products like this, which are almost kind of like camping food. 25, 30 years shelf life, you stick it in a closet, forget about it. And if, again, you find yourself where you need food, whether it's from a storm or even job loss, we hear from people who say, you know, both the husband and wife lost their job suddenly and they didn't have enough money to kind of eat for a few weeks and they relied on their kind of prepper food to survive. I hope it becomes the thing. And already we are the thing among the rational prepper crowd.
Right.
And as a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, I have stood in front of corporations who were worried, where they had an entire department of people that were worried they were going to lose their job because of the technology that I was building. And I've said to them, no, that doesn't happen. Technology is a net positive. That has been true for 250,000 years. It might not be true anymore. It's that same view that is leading a lot of them to be preppers. And it's not about being pessimistic or giving up. Just like by having health insurance doesn't mean that you give up going to the gym, right? You can want to try to fix things and save the world at the same time that you have an insurance policy in case it doesn't.
I'm going to take you back. 7,000 years, maybe even 11,000 years. I want to take you back to Noah and the ark. And that's effectively what I think we're doing here. And what X point means, and I coined this, is the point in time when only the prepared will survive.
I can't tell you the number of people in the last 12 months that have gone from, I'm never going to touch a gun in my life, to, I want 3. I teach people firearm skills, and the most blue-blooded, pro-gun control people are, a lot of them are now thinking, even if I'm not thrilled about it, I want to know how they work. I want to know how to use them. These fundamental dangerous things that we're facing, because we are not equipped to handle them today, I think, and a lot of other people think, that things are going to get worse before they get better. Is it going to be a Walking Dead situation where literally the world is over? Probably not, and certainly hope not, right? But could we go through decades of economic hardship and fundamental societal change until we figure it out? Yeah, maybe. And could there be a significant difference between people who are prepared and people who aren't in terms of how they can ride that roller coaster? Yeah, absolutely.